built towards greatness, now shattered like an egg. This is the Chronicles. In the Genesis, January 1st, 1960, Angola got its freedom. On 11th of February 1961, Cameroon and Angola became brothers in a referendum. Like Le Coupe and Maningo Batu exist in confederation, 63 years later, the blood of the innocent shed to pay the price of our forefathers' mistakes, the price of their choices. Was it the we or yes? First, they said it was Boko Haram from the north. From being the jihad of Usman Dan Fodio, nowhere is safe. Saturday, 9 September 2017. Teachers, lawyers, they said, I recall leaving school for home that day, naively so jovial, because we thought it was a strike to strive for our future strides, a fight to fight for our future fights. But then, the first blood spilled on a land our forefathers bore with their blood for liberation, in shadows of history's cruel reign. When the missionaries came to Africa, they had the Bible and we had the land. They said, let us pray. We closed our eyes open. We had the Bible and they had the land. We bear the weight of mental chains. Colonial masters physically gone but mentally present. Our voices echo songs of freedom. Generation bound by unseen bars, struggling to break free from scars. They suppressed our cultural richness and traditions, buried the turmoil in our brains and called it independence. Just the flag independence indeed.
Can imprison my body, we not go fit to capture my soul. Go low, I tell him, darling, no go fit to kill my soul.
But from the depths of resilient flames, our spirit ignites. That which refuses to tame the Bernard von Lund generation. Descendants of a great Mia Shaw, Africa's intellectual and Prince of Peace. From Cameroon in the heart of Africa. A man who believed in unity before diversity. A people politically divided but economically and developmentally united. Decolonized and washed off Eurocentrism. I am no crusader for the things English. I do not worship English. I worship Lamso. For that is my identity. Just as them foot beat their blades and hit the drums to the rhythms of my ancestors within my soul, rethinking the African philosophy of education. If the first language of a child from birth is their mother tongue, education will greatly ameliorate, in the words of Ngugi wa Thiong'o. This is the move of Professor Benanso Okika von Lund, also known as the genuine intellectuals, not the Lion King's dream, but the Martin Luther King's dream. Africa rise, retelling your own stories in resilience and resistance. Africans reclaim what was once theirs and even more. Why fight against each other? Why take the life of a brother, sister, mother, or child? The war would end. The leaders will shake hands. But the old woman will keep waiting for her brave son. The young girl will keep waiting for her beloved husband. That boy would endlessly wait for his mother. Those children will wait for their heroic father. I do not know who sold our homeland, but I saw who paid the price.
Un seul homme, nous voulons célébrer le vainqueur de Golgotha, la source d'eau vive d'Aponton. Est-ce que vous êtes prêts? Centre missionnaire Osana, où sont les que le doigt?
Tosanganya wapona nani? Tukutanya wapona nani? Tosobinela awa nani? Tosotoka boye pona nani? Abatela kabiso nani? Abomba kabiso nani? Oya kobambo la biso nani? Ah ouais. Les dieux de mon âge, les dieux de mon enfance. batangi komona ye wayambo ya vina ngai eternité mvula na yo komone nani komone nani rabi komone nani oyaya atosa na volant sanjola atosa na avion sanjola les dieux de mon âge les dieux de mon enfance yawe yebinga nyonso soki natangi komona ye moyambo ya vina ngai eternité mvula na yo yawe komone nani yaya komone nani yawe komone nani papa obikizi nani elonga nani otomboli nani obateli nani 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 yalelo vous réunis comme un seul homme vous célébrez qui ndenge bapapa basangani apona nani bapapa bosala biko bamama batikali nsima te balobi biso mpe tosanzola nzambe bamama ekodi me pusana bilenge balobi Est-ce que vous êtes prêts à célébrer celui qui est au-dessus de tout? Il s'appelle Jésus. La RDC restera une indivisible, ainsi parle l'Éternel.
Ma Julia Joe, Ma Emilia Guajo, Eben Neton Joko. Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko, oh, Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko. That's my ngoma na to bana ngoma na le to my ngoma na le to bana ngoma na le bebe jet when bebe fate when bebe jet when bebe fate when wow no Mostra le bora jo Sabe que se dene Senga me jule be sem sepuo Senga po jonjo sepuo Senga prende be sepuo Senga jole be sepuo Senga me jule be sem sepuo Senga po jonjo sepuo Senga prende be sepuo Senga jole be sepuo Oh Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko, Newa Kimiko, oh, Newa Kimiko. Matima kuba choma kami, Newa Kimiko. Bofa choma kami, Newa Kimiko. Boshuba choma kami, Newa Kimiko. Bobana choma kami, Newa Kimiko. Madam Patisa Sagana. Never Neton Woko. Abana you want to make me. C'est que Philippe va chutaka. Adjo, même petit. Johnson Weo, Johnson Weo, Johnson Weo, ma tu on the phone. Johnson Weo, Johnson Weo, Johnson Weo, Johnson Weo, ma tu on the phone. Johnson. Majorana kwa bagati na mea Johnson Wai Majorana kwa bagati Johnson Wai Majorana kwa bagati na mea Johnson Wai Majorana kwa bagati Johnson Wai Maluka sizara tinsa Nema mami atinsa Nema mami juli atinsa Johnson Wai Maluka sizara atinsa Mami atisa, mami julibe sana atisa. Johnson, ajaro le kone bebe nebia. Johnson why? 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 Felice Abo, Ketchen of Toronto, Canada. Ajo. Pastor Guinea atisa, Pastor Guinea atisa, Fudamani atisa, Guinea atisa, Pastor Guinea atisa mama, Bachapasha Guinea atisa, Veronica Guinea atisa mama, Pastor Guinea atisa, Adisa. Johnson Boy. But my penny Adisa.
Johnson Boy.
So I shall be near Adisa.
Johnson Boy.
Shona penny Adisa.
Johnson Boy. Johnson Boy.
Shona penny Adisa. Open open Adisa. Shona penny Adisa. Johnson Boy. Shona penny Adisa. Tambia bini Adisa. Tambia bini Adisa. Johnson. Baluka tilara Adisa.
Johnson Boy.
Never mami Adisa.
Johnson Boy.
Never mami Julie Adisa.
Johnson Boy.
Oh,
Johnson Boy.
Ayina sirise otoba tu fam te roken banjama me osowo ayimo no ayime tum sewere ayimo no atame kon memben ajagabo ayimo tu fam ayime tum sewere ayime tum ajagabo memben atame kon memben atame kano atame kon memben yumo basi ebana memben memben abangu mare majojoy atame kano atame kon memben 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 osowo ayimo so ayinsi ayibetum chen omwero be are bin eyubo basi ebana memben membagaban gumare majojoy mambelo ajagabo ayimo tufam ayibetum sewere ayibetum ajagakon ayibetum atame kon memben atame kon memben atame kano atame kon memben eyubo basi ebana memben membagaban gumare majojoy atame kano atame kon memben 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 osowo
I'm Dean Kelly, and welcome to ABS News. We begin tonight with the world in flux, where calls for revolution, defiance of international norms, and the unrelenting forces of nature dominate the headlines. From Oslo prison, Ambazonian leader Dr. Tove Oyaba ignites tensions, vowing an escalated armed struggle for freedom, while Cameroon's defense minister rallies troops against Boko Haram in the far north. In Burkina Faso, Captain Traoré rejects democracy, declaring a people's progressive revolution as Africa's future. South Africa reels as televangelist Timothy Omotoso walks free after an 8-year trial. And Guinea sets a September referendum to reshape its political destiny. In the DRC, convicted warlord Thomas Lubanga resurfaces with a new rebel faction, while a devastating earthquake in Bangkok claims 22 lives. Across Europe, Marine Le Pen defies a presidential race ban, and in a stunning rebuke to the ICC, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu visits Hungary's Viktor Orban. These stories and more coming up next. Good evening, I am Dean Kelly for ABS News, and thank you for joining us today. We begin the newscast with a major breaking story from Kumba in the southern zone of the southern Cameroons. A devastating fire tore through the Dubai Center, one of the city's key commercial hubs, on Tuesday afternoon, destroying dozens of shops and leaving traders counting heavy losses. Located just opposite the Kumba main market, the center went up in flames before emergency services could intervene. While no casualties have been reported so far, the blaze reignited serious concerns over fire safety standards in markets across the country. Here's the full story.
Hello. Happening now live in Kumba. This is Ibo Kwata. We have a serious fire incident that's now happening in Kumba. As you can see, I'm almost 200 meters away from where the incident is happening, but you can see the gravity of the fire, the intensity of the heat. You can see the level of the smoke. I mean, it's a massive fire outpour that's happening right here at Ibo Kwata. I'm live. You can hear the sound of it. You can hear how people are shouting. You can hear. It is massive. This is terrible. Ibo Kwata is aflame. The whole of Ibo Kwata is aflame.
A significant fire erupted on April 2nd at the Dubai Center, a prominent commercial hub situated directly opposite the Kumba main market in the southern Cameroon southern zone. The blaze, which began in the early afternoon, rapidly consumed numerous shops within the center, resulting in substantial property damage. Eyewitnesses reported that the fire started suddenly, with flames quickly spreading through the densely packed stalls. Merchants and bystanders made concerted efforts to salvage goods, but the rapid progression of the fire hindered many of these attempts. Local authorities and emergency services responded late. Most of the damage had already been done. Firefighters, we are told, worked to contain the blaze and prevented it from extending to adjacent areas, including the nearby main market. As of now, there have been no official reports detailing the cause of the fire or providing information on potential casualties. The Dubai Center is a vital commercial area in Kumba, housing a variety of businesses ranging from electronics to textiles. The destruction of these shops represents a significant economic setback, for local entrepreneurs and the broader community. This incident is part of a troubling pattern of market fires in Cameroon. Earlier this year, in January, fires devastated sections of markets in Garoua and Yaoundé, leading to considerable material losses for traders. The recurrence of such events has raised concerns about fire safety standards and the need for improved preventive measures in the country's marketplaces.
That was our reporter with details on the tragic fire incident at the Dubai Center in Kumba. As investigations continue into the cause of the blaze, questions remain about the readiness of emergency services and the safety of commercial centers across the southern Cameroons. We'll keep following this story and bring you updates as they unfold. Stay with us. Our second story takes us to Marua, Cameroon, where the fight against Boko Haram is front and center. Defense Minister Joseph Betty Asamo kicked off a two-day visit to the far north, bringing a message of support from President Paul Biya to troops reeling from a deadly attack just a week ago. With the jihadist threat showing no signs of fading, Asamo's trip is a show of resolve and a chance to rally the front lines. Here's the latest.
Cameroon's minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betty Asamo, launched a two-day visit to the far north region on Wednesday, April 2nd, to deliver a message of support from President Paul Biya to troops battling the persistent threat of Boko Haram. The visit, announced by state broadcaster CRTV, comes in the wake of a deadly terrorist attack in Wulgo, underscoring the ongoing security challenges in the region bordering Nigeria and Chad. Asamo's trip aims to convey the head of state's encouragement and comfort to soldiers of the Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF, a regional coalition fighting Boko Haram, according to a CRTV post on X on April 2nd. The minister's itinerary includes meetings with military commanders and visits to frontline posts, starting in Marua, the regional capital, where he arrived Wednesday morning. The defense forces remain committed to protecting civilians and preserving territorial integrity, Asamo said in a brief statement upon arrival. The visit follows a March 31st attack in Wulgo, near the Nigerian border, where alleged Boko Haram militants killed at least 8 civilians, 20 Cameroon soldiers and injured several others, per a local security source cited by Reuters. The assault, which targeted a fishing community, highlights a resurgence of violence by the jihadist group, which has plagued Cameroon's far north since 2014. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, reported in January 2025 that Boko Haram attacks have displaced over 300,000 people in the region, with more than 4,000 killed since the insurgency spilled over from Nigeria. Asamo, dubbed the enemy of Boko Haram by Jeune Afrique in 2016 for his aggressive stance against the group, has overseen Cameroon's military response since his appointment in 2015. His visit aligns with a broader push to bolster troop morale amid what the Institute for Security Studies, ISS, described in a March 2025 report as a tactical shift by Boko Haram toward hit-and-run operations. The MNJTF, comprising forces from Cameroon, Nigeria, Chad, and Niger, has claimed successes in weakening the group, though sporadic attacks persist. Local sentiment, reflected in online posts, shows a mix of support and frustration. One user wrote, "Asamo's visit is good, but we need more than words. Where's the equipment?" While another praised the troops, saying, "Our soldiers deserve all the support against these terrorists." The visit also coincides with efforts to address logistical challenges, including a February 2024 donation of tactical gear from France, which Asamo hailed as timely. Beyond troop support, Asamo is expected to assess the progress of a long-delayed de-radicalization center in Mayo-Sava, promised in 2018 to reintegrate former Boko Haram fighters. The facility, still under construction, has faced funding setbacks despite pledges from international partners. This is about more than combat. It's about breaking the cycle of extremism. A defense ministry official told Cameroon Tribune on condition of anonymity. As Asomo tours the far north through Thursday, his presence signals Cameroon's resolve to confront Boko Haram, though analysts warn that military efforts alone may not stem the insurgency without addressing root causes like poverty and governance gaps.
Up next, we shift gears to another corner of the world. Stay with us.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com.
Up next, we turn our attention to Burkina Faso, where interim leader Captain Ibrahim Traoré has once again stirred the pot with a bold declaration. In a fiery speech broadcast on state-run media, Traoré rejected democracy outright, proclaiming that Burkina Faso is actually in the midst of a people's progressive revolution. Citing the fight against jihadist insurgents, imperialism, and a vision inspired by revolutionary icon Thomas Sankara. He's doubling down on a radical path forward. But with half the country beyond government control and critics accusing him of power consolidation, what does this mean for Burkina Faso's future? Let's dive into the story.
In a fiery address broadcast on state-run radio diffusion television du Burkina, RTB, on April 1, 2025, Burkina Faso's interim leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, declared that the country is not a democracy but is instead undergoing a people's progressive revolution. The speech, delivered amid ongoing security challenges and a shift in national policy, underscored Traoré's vision for a revolutionary path to development, rejecting democratic governance as a viable means to progress. "We are not in a democracy, we are well and truly in a popular progressive revolution," Traoré said, according to RTB. He went further, challenging conventional wisdom about development. And it's even more surprising that those who are supposed to be educated, who have been to school, can imagine that a country can develop in a democracy. It can't. It's impossible to name a single country that has developed democratically. Democracy is only the end. You have to go through a revolution, and we are well and truly in one. Traoré, who assumed power in a September 2022 coup, has consistently framed his leadership as a break from Burkina Faso's past, drawing inspiration from revolutionary figures like Thomas Sankara, the Marxist leader who governed the country from 1983 until his assassination in 1987. In Monday's speech, he paid tribute to the nation's fighting forces, particularly the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, VDP, who have been instrumental in combating the jihadist insurgency that has plagued Burkina Faso for over a decade. "Our valiant forces are the backbone of this revolution," he said, praising their sacrifices in the face of growing security threats. The interim president also took aim at imperialism, a recurring theme in his rhetoric. "The chains of slavery, imperialism, and neocolonialism still bind us, but we are breaking them," he declared, echoing sentiments from his previous speeches, such as his address at the Russia-Africa Summit in July 2023, where he denounced Western influence and called for African self-reliance. Since taking power, Traoré has distanced Burkina Faso from its former colonial ruler, France, expelling French troops in 2023 and forging closer ties with Russia, including the deployment of Russian mercenaries to bolster security. Traoré's remarks come as Burkina Faso grapples with a worsening security crisis. According to a February 2024 report by the Institute for Security Studies, ISS, nearly half of the country remains outside government control, with jihadist groups linked to al-Qaeda and the Islamic State displacing over 2 million people and killing thousands. In response, Traoré called for heightened vigilance, urging citizens to remain united against both external and internal threats. "We must unmask all traitors in our nation," he warned. The speech aligns with Traoré's broader agenda, which has included extending military rule by 5 years in May 2024, despite earlier promises to restore civilian governance by July 2024. National consultations held in Ouagadougou last year, boycotted by most political parties, resulted in a new charter that allows Traoré to remain in power until at least 2029 and potentially run in future elections. Critics, including opposition leaders and civil society groups, have accused him of consolidating power under the guise of revolution, pointing to the repression of journalists and political opponents. Online reactions to the speech were mixed. Posts on X reflected both support and skepticism, with some users praising Traoré's bold stance against Western influence, while others questioned the feasibility of his revolutionary vision. One user wrote, "Traoré is right, democracy hasn't delivered for Africa. Time for something new," while another countered, "Revolution sounds good, but where's the plan?" Traoré's leadership has also seen tangible policy shifts, such as the nationalization of gold mines and the construction of the country's first gold refinery, approved in November 2023, aimed at retaining economic benefits domestically. However, analysts warn that without addressing corruption and insecurity, these efforts may falter. A March 2025 ISS African Futures report suggested that while Traoré's reforms could lift millions out of poverty by 2043, success hinges on overcoming governance challenges. As Burkina Faso marks 2.5 years under Traoré's rule, his latest speech reinforces his commitment to a radical transformation. Whether this people's progressive revolution will deliver the sovereignty and prosperity he envisions remains a subject of intense debate, both at home and abroad.
And that's the latest from Ouagadougou, where Captain Ibrahim Traoré's vision of a people's progressive revolution continues to reshape Burkina Faso's trajectory. We move now to Kibera, South Africa, where a high-profile legal battle has reached a stunning conclusion. After nearly 8 years, Nigerian televangelist Timothy Omotoso and his 2 co-accused have been acquitted of all charges: rape, human trafficking, and racketeering among them, in a case that's shaken the nation. The Kibera High Court's ruling Wednesday has sparked celebration among supporters and outrage from critics, reigniting fierce debates over justice and gender-based violence. Here's the story that's dividing South Africa.
Nigerian televangelist Timothy Omotoso and his co-accused Lusanda Sulani and Zukiswa Sitho were found not guilty on all charges by the Jeberha High Court on Wednesday, April 2, 2025, bringing an end to a nearly 8-year legal saga that gripped South Africa. Judge Irma Showman delivered the verdict, clearing the 66-year-old leader of the Jesus Dominion International JDI Church and his associates of 63 charges, including rape, human trafficking, and racketeering. Omotoso, arrested in April 2017 at Chief Sturman Airport in Keberha, had been in custody since, while Sulani and Sitho were released on bail. The trio faced allegations that they exploited young women from the JDI congregation, with Sulani and Sitho accused of recruiting vulnerable females to live in church mission houses in Durban. Witnesses testified that Omotoso sexually assaulted several of these women and made inappropriate sexual comments, claims the accused consistently denied throughout the trial. In her ruling, Judge Showman criticized the prosecution's handling of the case, stating that the state failed to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. According to a report by News 24, Showman described the cross-examination of the accused as desultory and insufficient, noting that while she found their explanations improbable, the burden of proof rested with the prosecution, not the defense. The National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, acknowledged the acquittal was based on a technicality and said it would review the judgment to explore further legal options. The verdict sparked jubilation among Omotoso's supporters, with hundreds gathering outside the courthouse, joined by majorette dancers to celebrate. Inside the courtroom, however, the mood was somber, as Cheryl Zondi, one of the key witnesses who testified against Omotoso, broke down in tears, according to Scrolla. Africa. The case, broadcast live at times, had drawn significant public attention, amplifying debates about sexual violence and justice in South Africa. Omotoso, who founded JDI with branches in South Africa, Nigeria, and Israel, maintained his innocence, thanking God for the outcome in a statement to the BBC. His co-accused, Sulani and Sitho, described as assistants in the church, were accused of facilitating the alleged abuses by luring young women under the pretense of spiritual growth or improved livelihoods. The trial faced numerous delays, including legal challenges from Omotoso's team and the withdrawal of some witnesses, reducing the initial 63 charges to 32 by its conclusion. The acquittal has reignited criticism of South Africa's justice system, particularly amid ongoing protests against gender-based violence, GBV. Following the ruling, the Department of Home Affairs confirmed plans to deport Omotoso to Nigeria, with the process expected to begin immediately. The NPA, meanwhile, faces pressure from groups like the CRL Rights Commission, which called on National Director Shamila Batohi to explain the prosecution's shortcomings, labeling the case a setback for survivors of abuse.
With the prosecution's case faltering on technical grounds and Omotoso now facing deportation to Nigeria, the verdict leaves a bitter taste for survivors and activists, while his supporters hail it as divine justice.
Thrive America, the flagship model, offers personalized coaching and assistance to newly arrived individuals into the country through a concierge service and one-stop resource on your phone. The app supports essential areas of integration, such as job search strategies, benefits applications, financial literacy, credit repair, legal guidance, and more. The platform aims to become the go-to resource as you navigate the complexities of settling into a new country.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
Next up, we head to Guinea, where military leader Colonel Mamadi Doumbia has set the stage for a pivotal moment. A constitutional referendum is now slated for September 21st, 2025, raising hopes and doubts about a return to civilian rule in the West African nation. Doumbia, who took power in a 2021 coup, has missed earlier deadlines for democratic transition. And now, with the controversial draft constitution on the table, questions swirl. Is this a genuine step toward democracy or a maneuver to cement military control? Billy Johnson unpacks the story.
Guinea's military leader, Colonel Mamadi Doumbia, has scheduled a constitutional referendum for September 21st, 2025, signaling a potential step toward restoring constitutional democracy in the West African nation, according to a decree announced on state television on April 1st. Doumbia, who seized power in a September 2021 coup, had initially promised a 2-year transition to civilian rule by 2023 but has yet to organize elections, joining a trend of military regimes in the region stalling democratic transitions. Doumbia's announcement comes after the junta missed a self-imposed December 31st, 2024 deadline to return to civilian governance, a delay that has drawn criticism from opposition groups and regional bodies like the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. In July 2024, Guinea's transitional authorities unveiled a draft constitution, which will be put to a vote in the upcoming referendum. The document has sparked controversy, as it could potentially allow Doumbia to run in the next presidential election, despite earlier assurances that junta members would be barred from future contests. The referendum is a necessary precursor to any election and the restoration of constitutional order, a government spokesperson said in a statement following the decree, echoing sentiments from the junta's previous pledges to prioritize a legal framework for transition. However, critics argue that the process lacks transparency and is designed to entrench military influence. The draft constitution, reviewed by the National Transitional Council, CNT, acting as an interim parliament, does not explicitly prohibit junta members from participating in electoral politics, fueling speculation about Doumbouya's intentions. Since taking power, Doumbouya has consolidated control in Guinea, a major producer of bauxite and iron ore, suspending the country's two former ruling parties and placing the leading opposition group, the Union of Democratic Forces of Guinea, UFDG, under surveillance. The UFDG, led by former Prime Minister Cellou Diallo, has faced increasing restrictions, with its members reporting harassment and arrests. In a February 2025 report by The Guardian, opposition leader Abdoulaye Kourouma described a climate of fear. No one speaks today, whether you're a journalist, a scholar, or a politician. The announcement follows years of political turbulence in Guinea, which saw Doumbouya overthrow President Alpha Condé in 2021 after Condé's controversial third-term bid in 2020. Initially welcomed by some as a break from Condé's authoritarian drift, Doumbouya's regime has since faced accusations of repression. A March 2025 report from the Africa Center for Strategic Studies noted the disappearance of opposition figures like Omar Silla and Mamadou Bilo Ba since July 2024. Alongside a broader crackdown on dissent. Online sentiment on X reflects a divided public. Some users hailed the referendum as a move toward stability, with one post stating, "Doumbouya is keeping his word, Guinea needs this reset." Others expressed skepticism, with a user commenting, "Referendum or not, it's just a power grab dressed up as democracy." Guinea's transition has regional implications, as neighboring countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger also grapple with military rule. In his New Year's address on December 31, 2024, Doumbouya emphasized the need for a constitution tailored to Guinea's realities, promising a process distinct from Western models. Yet, with the opposition sidelined and the security situation fragile, over 2 million displaced by insurgency per a 2024 ISS report, the path to civilian rule remains uncertain. As September 2025 approaches, the referendum will test Doumbouya's pledge to restore democracy while spotlighting Guinea's struggle to break free from military dominance and external pressures. Whether it marks a genuine turning point or a perpetuation of junta rule will depend on the transparency of the process and the junta's willingness to cede power.
As the region watches closely, the coming months will reveal whether this is a true democratic reset or just another chapter in military rule. Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
Now, to Kampala, Uganda, where a familiar and troubling name is back in the headlines. Thomas Lubanga, a convicted war criminal once jailed by the International Criminal Court, has announced the launch of a new rebel movement, the Convention for the Popular Revolution, aimed at toppling the government in eastern Congo's Ituri province. With the Democratic Republic of Congo already reeling from the M23 insurgency and a surge in militia violence, Lubanga's move could tip an already fragile region into deeper chaos. Here's the story with Kelly Martin.
Thomas Lubanga, a convicted war criminal now based in Uganda, has announced the formation of a new rebel movement, the Convention for the Popular Revolution, CPR, aimed at overthrowing the government in eastern Congo's Ituri province, according to a statement reported by Reuters on March 31st. The move threatens to exacerbate an already volatile security situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, where the National Army is struggling to contain an unprecedented advance by the Rwandan-backed M23 rebels in North and South Kivu provinces. Lubanga, an Ituri native and former leader of the Union of Congolese Patriots, UPC, told Reuters in written responses that the CPR comprises both political and military elements, with armed men positioned in 3 areas of Ituri. Bringing peace to the area requires an immediate change in governance and government, he said, though he noted the group has not yet launched military operations. The exact size of Lubanga's forces remains unclear, but a 2024 United Nations experts report accused him of mobilizing fighters to support local militias and the M23, raising concerns about his capacity to destabilize the region further. The International Criminal Court, ICC, convicted Lubanga in 2012, its first-ever conviction, for recruiting and using child soldiers during the Ituri conflict from 2002 to 2003, sentencing him to 14 years in prison. Released in 2020 after serving his term, Lubanga was appointed by DRC President Felix Tshisekedi to a task force aimed at restoring peace in Ituri, a mineral-rich province long plagued by ethnic violence and militia activity. However, his tenure was marred by a 2-month abduction in 2022 by a rebel group, an incident he attributes to government betrayal. The announcement comes at a precarious time for the DRC. Ituri has seen a surge in violence in 2025, with Doctors Without Borders reporting last week that over 200 civilians have been killed and 100,000 displaced since January due to a renewed spike in atrocities by various armed groups. Ugandan troops are currently deployed in Ituri to assist the Congolese army in combating the Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, an Islamic State-affiliated group known for brutal village attacks. Lubanga's history as a warlord adds weight to the threat posed by the CPR. During the early 2000s, his UPC militia was implicated in ethnic massacres, torture, and widespread recruitment of child soldiers, some as young as 7, during the Ituri conflict, which claimed over 60,000 lives, according to Human Rights Watch estimates. His latest venture has drawn alarm from regional observers. The East African reported on March 31, 2025, that the CPR's emergence could create another potential security threat in the war-scarred region, compounding the challenges facing President Tshisekedi's administration, which did not respond to Reuters' requests for comment. The DRC government has yet to outline a response to Lubanga's announcement, but the timing, amid the M23 crisis and ongoing ADF violence, suggests a potential escalation in an already complex conflict zone. Analysts warn that without a coordinated strategy, the proliferation of rebel groups like the CPR could further erode state authority in Ituri, a region critical to Congo's gold trade and regional stability.
And that's the latest from Kampala, where regional stability hangs in the balance. The rise of the CPR signals more uncertainty ahead, and we'll keep you updated right here. Next up, more global headlines.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
Thrive America, the flagship model, offers personalized coaching and assistance to newly arrived individuals into the country through a concierge service and one-stop resource on your phone. The app supports essential areas of integration, such as job search strategies, benefits applications, financial literacy, credit repair, legal guidance, and more. The platform aims to become the go-to resource as you navigate the complexities of settling into a new country.
We turn now to Bangkok, Thailand, where a grim milestone has been reached in the wake of last week's catastrophic earthquake. The death toll has climbed to 22 as rescue teams pulled yet another body from the rubble of a collapsed high-rise today, nearly a week after the 7.7 magnitude quake struck. With dozens still missing and hope fading fast, the city is wrestling with grief, resilience, and mounting questions about how this tragedy unfolded. Here's the latest from the disaster zone.
The death toll from last week's devastating earthquake in Bangkok rose to 22 on Wednesday, April 2nd, after rescuers recovered another body from the rubble of a collapsed high-rise building, according to a statement from the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, BMA. The 7.7 magnitude quake, centered near Mandalay, Myanmar, struck on March 28th, toppling the unfinished skyscraper in the city's Chatuchak district and leaving dozens trapped beneath the debris. Rescue teams, equipped with sniffer dogs, drones, and thermal imaging technology, have been working tirelessly since the collapse to locate survivors, though hope is fading as a critical 72-hour survival window has passed. The BMA reported that 32 people were injured in the incident, with an estimated 70 still missing. "We're not giving up," Bangkok Governor Chadchart Sitapont told reporters at the site on Tuesday. "Even one life saved is worth it." The latest body, identified as a male construction worker, was found late Tuesday night, bringing a somber update to families gathered nearby. The scene outside the wreckage has been one of anguish and resilience, as loved ones cling to dwindling hope. "I just want to know if he's alive," said Narimal Thonglek, a 45-year-old whose partner remains unaccounted for, in an interview with the Associated Press. Volunteers and counselors have been deployed to comfort families, many of whom have camped out near the site for days, occasionally breaking into sobs as sniffer dogs comb the rubble. The dogs, trained to detect signs of life, have been a critical part of the operation, though Bangkok Deputy Governor Tavita Kamalvich noted on Sunday that no vital signs have been detected in the past 5 hours, according to the BBC. The earthquake, one of the strongest to hit the region in over a century, has left a trail of destruction across Thailand and Myanmar. In Bangkok, the collapsed high-rise, intended as a new state audit office building, has raised questions about construction standards. Initial tests on steel samples from the site, reported by Thailand's industry ministry on Monday via Reuters, revealed substandard materials, prompting a government investigation. Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra vowed a thorough probe, stating, "We need to know how this was approved," in a weekend address covered by CBS News. Across the border in Myanmar, the death toll has soared past 2,700, with the military hunt estimating it could exceed 3,000, per a March 31st Reuters report. The quake's shallow depth of 10 kilometers amplified its impact, flattening buildings and displacing millions already reeling from civil war. In Bangkok, the high-rise collapse accounted for most of the city's fatalities, with 7 additional deaths reported elsewhere in the capital due to related incidents like a fallen crane, according to Nation Thailand. Online sentiment has been marked by frustration and grief, with people decrying the slow pace of rescue efforts and the building's apparent structural failures. One post read, 22 dead and counting. How did this building collapse so easily? While another praised the sniffer dogs, saying, "Those dogs are heroes," giving families a shred of hope. The outpouring reflects a broader call for accountability as Thailand grapples with the disaster's aftermath.
As families mourn and rescuers battle exhaustion, Thailand faces tough questions about accountability. While across the border, Myanmar's losses climbed into the thousands. We'll keep following this story. Over to Paris now, where a political bombshell is reverberating through France. Far-right leader Marine Le Pen has been convicted of embezzling EU funds, hit with a 5-year ban from public office that could knock her out of the 2027 presidential race. Unbowed, Le Pen is vowing to fight back, calling it a political hit job as her allies rally and critics cheer. With her party's future and France's hanging in the balance, this is a story of defiance and division. Billy Johnson breaks down the report.
French far-right leader Marine Le Pen has pledged to challenge a court ruling that bars her from running for public office for 5 years, a penalty imposed after her conviction for embezzling European Union funds. The National Rally, RN, chief, a 3-time presidential contender, insisted she would not retire from politics despite the seismic verdict, which threatens to derail her 4th bid for the French presidency in 2027. "There's no way I'm stepping back from political life," Le Pen said in the TF1 interview, slamming the court's decision as a political maneuver aimed at silencing her and her supporters. "I'm not going to let myself be eliminated like this. I'll pursue every legal avenue available," she added, confirming plans to appeal the ruling that has upended France's political landscape. The Paris court's decision, delivered on March 31st, found Le Pen guilty of misusing over €4 million in European Parliament funds to pay RN staff between 2004 and 2016, sentencing her to a 4-year prison term, 2 years suspended and 2 under house arrest with an electronic tag, alongside a €100,000 fine. Judge Benedict de Perthus, presiding over the case, described Le Pen as the heart of the system that diverted EU money meant for parliamentary assistance to bolster her party's operations in France, calling it a democratic bypass that deceived voters. While the prison sentence and fine are suspended pending appeal, the 5-year ban on holding public office took effect immediately, effectively barring Le Pen from the 2027 race, unless overturned. Le Pen stormed out of the courtroom before the full sentencing, later telling TF1 she left because she saw the judge delivering a political decision. The verdict has sparked outrage among Le Pen's allies and far-right leaders globally. RN President Jordan Bardella, her 29-year-old protege, labeled a democratic scandal, launching a petition for peaceful mobilization to rally support. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán posted "Je suis Marine" on X, while Italy's Matteo Salvini called it a declaration of war by Brussels. Even U.S. President Donald Trump weighed in, telling reporters on March 31st that the ban resembled tactics used against him, saying, "She's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country," per CNN. Le Pen's political future now hinges on her appeal, which her lawyer, Rodolphe Basselet, told BFM TV would be expedited to occur before the 2027 election. "She's in a fighting mood," RN spokesman Laurent Jacobelli added. However, appeals in France can take years, and legal experts note there's no guarantee of a reversal. The ruling has thrust Bardella into the spotlight as a potential RN presidential candidate, though his relative inexperience, highlighted by a 2024 Euronews profile, raises doubts about his ability to match Le Pen's electoral draw. Public reaction has been polarized. In Henan-Beaumont, Le Pen's far-right stronghold, supporters told AFP the verdict was an injustice and a political death sentence, while posts on X echoed both fury and skepticism. "This is tyranny to crush opposition," one user wrote, while another questioned, "Will Bardella carry the torch, or is RN finished?" Meanwhile, critics like socialist MP Olivier argued on X that no one is above the law, pointing to Le Pen's past calls for harsh penalties against corrupt politicians. Le Pen, who transformed the RN from a fringe outfit under her father, Jean-Marie Le Pen, into France's largest parliamentary party, remains defiant. "There are millions who trust me," she told TF1. "I fought injustice for 30 years, and I'll keep fighting." As she prepares her legal battle, the fallout from her conviction, coupled with France's fragile government under Prime Minister François Bayrou, who called the ruling troubling, promises to reshape the nation's political trajectory ahead of 2027.
We head now to Budapest, where a bold act of defiance is making waves. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has landed in Hungary for a 5-day visit, welcomed by Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, despite an International Criminal Court arrest warrant hanging over his head for alleged war crimes in Gaza. Hungary, an ICC member, is legally bound to detain him, but Orbán's rolling out the red carpet instead. It's a diplomatic gamble that's raising eyebrows and tempers worldwide. Here's the story.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in Budapest on Wednesday, April 2nd, for a 5-day visit at the invitation of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, openly defying an International Criminal Court (ICC) arrest warrant issued against him for alleged war crimes in Gaza. Hungary, a signatory to the ICC's Rome Statute, is legally obligated to detain Netanyahu upon his arrival, yet Orban has vowed to flout the court's order, marking the first time an ICC member state has hosted the Israeli leader since the warrant was issued in November 2024. Netanyahu's trip, which runs through Sunday, April 6th, began with a ceremonial welcome at Buda Castle, where Orban greeted him with military honors, according to a report by the Associated Press. The visit, only Netanyahu's second abroad since the ICC action, following a February trip to Washington, underscores the deepening alliance between the two leaders, both of whom have clashed with international institutions. Orban, who invited Netanyahu shortly after the warrant's announcement, has dismissed the ICC's decision as cynical and politically motivated, pledging to ensure the Israeli leader's safety during his stay. The ICC issued arrest warrants on November 21, 2024, for Netanyahu and former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, citing reasonable grounds to believe they committed war crimes and crimes against humanity, including starvation as a method of warfare and targeting civilians during Israel's military campaign in Gaza. As one of 125 ICC member states, Hungary is bound to enforce such warrants, but Orban's defiance has drawn sharp criticism from human rights groups and EU officials. This is an affront to victims and a breach of Hungary's legal obligations, said Liz Evanson of Human Rights Watch in a statement on April 1st, urging Hungary to arrest Netanyahu. The visit has intensified scrutiny on Hungary's maverick stance within the European Union, where Orban has long been at odds with Brussels over democratic norms. EU Justice Commissioner Vera Jourova warned in November 2024 that ignoring the ICC would damage Hungary's reputation, a sentiment echoed by the European Green Party's Kieran Cuff, who called it a disregard for the rule of law. Netanyahu's agenda in Budapest includes talks with Orban on a controversial U.S.-backed plan to rehabilitate Gaza, which involves relocating its population and rebuilding the enclave as a resort, according to the Times of Israel. The plan, championed by U.S. President Donald Trump, has been embraced by Netanyahu's coalition but rejected by Palestinians and Arab states. The Israeli leader's visit also features a stop at a Holocaust memorial, though details remain sparse amid heightened security, with forces visible near his hotel in central Budapest, per Reuters. The trip has reignited debate over the ICC's authority, which lacks its own enforcement mechanism and relies on member states' cooperation. While Israel and the U.S., neither ICC members, have condemned the warrants as baseless, several EU nations, including France and Ireland, have signaled they would arrest Netanyahu if he entered their territory. Hungary's defiance follows a precedent set when Mongolia hosted Russian President Vladimir Putin, also an ICC target, in 2024 without detaining him, a move the court later criticized.
As talks on Gaza's future unfold amid tight security, this trip tests the limits of global justice and Hungary's rogue streak. This is all the news we have for you now. I'm Dean Kelly. Stay tuned to ABS.